Hello, and welcome to World Unity Week with our very special meeting on the International Day of Peace and the 100-Day Countdown. We are a couple of days into the 100-Day Countdown, but it overlaps almost entirely with World Unity Week's 99 Days of Global Unity. And it was all centered around the International Day of Peace. So today, we are focusing on the June to September focus leading up to the International Day of Peace. I'm Monica Willard. I represent the United Religions Initiative at the UN and have been part of the International Day of Peace program at the UN since 1997. We've brought students into the UN to help observe the International Day of Peace. But this doesn't just happen on one day. Peace is an ongoing process. And as we prepare for the International Day of Peace, you're going to meet some wonderful people. Tez Gabriel is the Executive Director of Pathways to Peace that has been such a champion and initiator of the International Day of Peace. Jennifer Kim has run Peace Day Chicago since before it was even an international day. And she's going to tell us about the wonderful activities that the Peace School in Chicago has been doing for so many years. Jill Kunkel is with Peace Jam and the Billion Acts of Peace, and she's going to show us how we're going to count and use the billion acts in a new way so that we can connect and see what's happening in the 100-Day Countdown and the International Day of Peace. And Lisa Parker, who's the co-chair of the International Day of Peace NGO Committee at the UN, represents Philly Peace Day at the United Nations and has been organizing the International Day of Peace activities in Philadelphia for a number of years. So we've got an exciting program, and I turn it over to Tez to start us because Pathways to Peace was such an important part of the International Day of Peace from the very beginning.
Thank you so much, Monica. I'm Tezkiah Gabriel, or Tez Gabriel, and as Monica said, I'm representing Pathways to Peace. And the International Day of Peace is very near and dear to our collective heart at Pathways to Peace. Much credit being given to our beloved Gavin Madison, who passed a year and a half ago, and is recognized as a leader in the movement for the resolution, the United Nations resolution for an International Day of Peace, which occurred in 1981 by unanimous resolution, if you can imagine, at the United Nations. And many, many, many others who kind of laid down a path for that to occur. And we recognize some, but not all of the history. We're still putting together much of that history. But we know, as Monica said, that our dear sister Jennifer Kim with the Peace School was a front runner in kind of putting together of the recognition of an international day dedicated to peace long before the United Nations resolved to create that International Day of Peace. And so, and many others have contributed along the way. And I wonder, you know, there's this energy about something that needs to occur where there's not just one, but many who feel that creative impulse, and many then that come together, maybe not even recognizing the others, but to make that occur. And I think that's really true for the movement around the International Day of Peace, the resolution, and really what has occurred since, from a handful of people really celebrating the International Day of Peace. The International Day of Peace, or what we call Peace Day, is now celebrated by millions around our world. And so it's so exciting, isn't it? to be able to jump into that energetic field with so many others who are holding that vision for that frequency of peace. So I'd like to just share a few words from Aven, and that give a little bit of the history from her perspective. So I'm going to take just a moment to do that. She says that the origin of the International Day of Peace occurred along several lines. Many had been holding an idea of the United Nations establishing a Universal Day of Peace, but it hadn't quite come together. And part of it before even 1981 was a meeting that occurred shortly after the University for Peace in Costa Rica was established, largely through the efforts of Assistant Secretary General Robert Mueller, who Aven called Robert, and then President of Costa Rica. And it was a meeting held by the International Association of University Presidents. Others involved were again Robert Mueller, the ambassador John McDonnell, the permanent UN ambassador from Costa Rica, Emilia de Barish, and conversations from the Hopi Nation and the Hopi prophecy, meaning that their idea was that one day the prophecy would come to the glass house, which was the United Nations. And this was from thousands of years ago. And that, of course, represented that unfolding of what would become the International Day of Peace. And it would be a part of the legacy and fulfillment of that prophecy. Again, from Aven, the original resolution that was proposed was that it would be called World Peace Day. It's important to remember that in order to get this passed, because it was the Cold War, it was decided that the day would be the opening day of the UN General Assembly, which was not a fixed date, but was always around the third Tuesday in September. So that was what helped get it passed, and also calling it the International Day of Peace, because this was incumbent upon the nations to come together and begin to work for a common purpose, which was peace. So again, many people working with persistent shared vision, patience, common purpose, divine timing for the benefit of humanity and for the earth and for all beings and future generations. And just some final words about the actual wording of the resolution, which is quite profound, I believe. And it is that even though we weren't able to put in specifics connected to, for example, to let this be a day where there is a ceasing of all forms of violence and a ceasefire that would also be a day for giving humanitarian aid to all of those in war zones. And again, even then, though it didn't quite make it in those words into the resolution, that was a part of the conversation and the agreement. It was kept more universal. And this was actually a very wise idea because it allowed those who were involved with the divisiveness of the Cold War to agree to every single word in the resolution. So it kept it universal throughout all these years, over 40 decades, and this year representing the adoption of the resolution. It's 41 year anniversary. So lastly, that the International Day of Peace, according to the resolution, shall be devoted to commemorizing and strengthening the ideals of peace, both within and among all nations and all peoples. And that it is of great significance because it allows the role of civil society and every human being at all levels, whether they be regional, governmental, or whatever, to participate in their own way to peace above all differences of any kind. And that came about on the 77th plenary meeting of the United Nations on the 30th of November, 1981, which was truly a historic moment. So thank you for allowing me to go down that memory lane and at the same time really honor our beloved Avon Madison, who is credited with the leadership by many, but also recognize that there were so many others that led and participated to bring that resolution into being, and since then to create that movement for the International Day of Peace. So thank you.
Wow. Tez, I so appreciate that wrap up and looking at it and you bringing up the ceasefire. I'm just going to add a little bit because there was a second resolution that added ceasefire, and it also separated it from the General Assembly. In 2001, it passed, and the International Day of Peace in 2001 was 9/11.
Yes.
So it was never again going to be on that date because part of that resolution set the International Day of Peace. That second resolution called for a ceasefire, and it called for the date to be set on September 21st, which it would have been September 21st, the first time it was celebrated, because it was the third Tuesday in September of 1982. That was September 21st. So there was good reason for the 21st, both celestially and in our hearts. And we have called for the reinvigoration this year by looking towards this 100-day countdown, because peace cannot happen on just one day. It needs steps, it needs plans, it needs cooperation. And so I'm going to ask Lisa to set the stage by reading the 100-day countdown from Secretary General Antonio Guterres of the United Nations. This is taken very seriously by the UN each year to put this 100-day countdown message out by the Secretary General. And the Secretary General has also been involved with the student observance in September. So Lisa, thank you for having this ready and sharing it with us.
Thank you, Monica. Our world needs peace now more than ever. Yet conflict, rising inequalities, persistent injustices, humanity's war on nature, and a global financial system that is outdated, dysfunctional, and unfair are blocking the path to peace. This year's International Day of Peace will focus on actions for peace and how the Sustainable Development Goals are essential to preventing conflict and maintaining peace. The 100-day countdown to the International Day of Peace starts now. Together, let us take action now to build a more inclusive, sustainable, and peaceful world for all.
Thank you, Lisa. And the Secretary General has given both the theme, connecting it to the Sustainable Development Goals, and calls for action. And I have, Lisa, you're going to hear more from Lisa in a little bit. Right now, you're going to hear from Jill Runkle from Pathways to Peace Jam, another P organization that I have had the good fortune of working with for a number of years. And I'm so proud to introduce you, Jill, as a wonderful example of what Peace Jam is about because they inspire youth to get involved in peace actions and peace projects. And some of those youth turn into their leaders. And I think you were inspired by being a peace jammer yourself. Am I correct with that? So take just a minute to say a little bit about Peace Jam before you go into the Billion Acts, because it is so important for us to share how one way for us to collaboratively show up during this 100 days is to participate in Billion Acts for Peace. So this is going to be an explanation and a real invitation for all of us to take advantage of this great opportunity. Thank you. Jill.
Yes, thank you so much, Monica, and thank you for inviting me today. It's quite an honor for Unity Week. And for everyone on here, I find you all so inspiring, just the little bits I've learned and what I know about your organizations already. I'm actually from the Chicago area, so Jennifer, I'm pretty sure I've been at some events that you've hosted before, been a part of around International Day of Peace, so that's a bit serendipitous. But to answer your question, Monica, yes, I've been part of Peace Jam since I was about 9 years old. And for those unfamiliar, Peace Jam, it's a global organization. It's based around our 14 Nobel Peace Prize winners, who their purpose really is to be guides and role models for new generations of Nobel Peace Prize winners, of youth who are dedicated to inspiring positive change in themselves and their communities and in the world. And so it's educational, it's service-based, it happens around the world. We have conferences where we bring together all these different youth-based groups who are doing incredible projects to address different issues in their own communities. And they get to meet each other and collaborate and meet local community partners and to meet the Nobel Peace Prize winner who they were studying that year. And so everything kind of comes to a culmination at these events where they get to collaborate and meet these people they've been studying the lives of, these Nobel laureates who have done incredible work in the world and who represent so many different cultures and backgrounds and viewpoints, but share this common mission for creating more peaceful communities and creating the conditions for peace around the world. So that's the background on Peace Jam. You can learn a lot more at peacejam.org going into that. But essentially, we believe that peace is a verb, you know, and it's we did a whole campaign last year for National Day of Peace called Redefine Peace. We had youth leaders and our laureates answer the question, what does peace mean to you? And it came up with this whole beautiful collage of responses, you know, where it's addressing health inequalities in my community, or it's addressing youth violence in our schools. And you got all these different viewpoints and all these different ways that really we all can be putting forth the effort to create more peace. And that's how Billion Acts comes in. Let me share my screen here real quick. Just have a couple slides. So Billion Acts of Peace, those unfamiliar, it's an initiative of the Peace Jam Foundation, and hopefully it will load. Maybe I'll leave it there for right now. 1 second. It's not showing for you all, right? Oh, there we go. So Billion Acts, it's a campaign and it's an initiative of the Peace Jam Foundation. And essentially, 10 of our Nobel Peace Prize winners came together with a couple thousand Peace Jam youth from different countries around the world. At the time, it was the largest gathering of Nobel Peace laureates outside of Oslo. And they came together and created their own global call to action. And their call to action is everyday citizens worldwide to join together to create, inspire 1 billion acts of peace around specifically 10 key issue areas that they identified, which are very in line with the SDGs, as Monica and I have discussed. But in the process, you know, really transform their communities and transform the world for the better. And acts of peace, it's kind of a vague term, but we define this, and our laureates and everyone defines this as really any thoughtful action that spreads more peace in your community, your school, your organization, and is designed to impact one of those billion acts issue areas that we believe is critical to creating more peaceful communities. So they span from everyday acts of kindness to long-term projects. They are logged by businesses, by townships, by youth leaders, by organizations. And really an act of peace can even be, we define even 1 hour volunteered somewhere, 1 item donated. And oftentimes our pages for the acts of peace actually include like a whole contributions, like it'll be a community cleanup, and then you'll see acts of peace logged by people at the cleanup saying, I volunteered for an hour, I did this, and those count towards acts of peace. But so we have, these are 14 Nobel Peace Prize winners, and they really are the guiding light behind Peace Jam, behind the curriculum, behind the Billion Acts campaign, of course, as well. So here's a few of them. And at the beating heart, really, of Billion Acts is the youth leaders. We are youth-led, and you can see some of these projects going on here. There's millions of them. And Young Peace Jam, Billion Acts Youth, and youth from other organizations involved on here really are critical to the sustainability of the movement. They regularly add their own community projects, they engage with each other. Then they also help us create our global campaigns. Real quick, these are our 10 key issue areas, very in line with many of the SDGs. Oftentimes people mention SDGs in their acts of peace as well, because they are so much in the same vein. And I also might mention it's community engaged. So there's over 100 million acts of peace logged so far. We reached 100 million last year through our International Day of Peace campaign. Actually, we got over the tipping point for it. And and those are in over 171 countries and logged by over 250 network members and millions of youth. And this brings me to the call to action that we would like to propose to you all, and that we know you all are already involved in. Really, this is from our conversation with Monica, where she was saying how it would be great to really collect everything that all these organizations are already doing for the 100-day countdown, and really have a place to highlight those and organize those and bring our youth into it and engage our broader global network into what all of you are doing. And we put on there as a 100-day countdown. Last year, we reached over 3,700 acts of peace for a different International Day of Peace campaign. And we'd really love to invite individuals, organizations, businesses alike to join us in reaching at least 5,000 acts of peace by September 22nd. And we'll be encouraging our whole global community to also be adding all of their projects, their events, their initiatives, and everything, and sharing inspiring stories from our youth leaders, and really just drawing the community closer together. And I will show you the campaign real quick to give an idea. And right now, we would love to just start by collecting upcoming events, calls to action from all of you, from your organizations, from anyone watching, from individuals. And to make it as easy as possible, you can go on the right-hand corner here to be reminded of how to get started. But if you're an NGO, first you just click here, fill out a quick form, we'll approve you, and then you can get back to the campaign and go to, oh, my screen is blocked, sorry, 1 second. And you can add your active piece right from here. So you click on there, it'll take you through the steps, ask you some questions, you can add pictures. If you have multiple acts within it, like 30 hours volunteered, you can add that right on there, and those are acts of peace. You can have people from your organization who are at that event add their acts of peace right onto it, say if they were volunteering at it, say if they donated items or they completed other acts of peace related to it. And those will all add onto here. And so you'll be able to see the events down below. A couple on already, if it'll load real quick. But they do show up here once it loads. My Wi-Fi is a little off right now, but like I added, okay, see, we have an upcoming conversation with Nobel Peace Laureate Shirin Ebadi next month. And so I had that listed on there as part of something that we have coming up in these 100 days leading up to it. We'll have more things we're adding on as well, more events, more possible ideas for acts of peace for our youth to be involved in. And yeah, and so just a reminder, they are all over here, the kind of the steps to make things easier. And also anyone can reach out to me at jill@peacejam.org. And I just really love to see this populate and to serve as, you know, a homepage for all that your organizations are doing and that so many individuals and groups within our community are doing. Because like Monica said before, it's really, peace is not something that should have just one day. This should be an ongoing, everyday effort by people around the world. That's what we believe. And that's what Billion Acts is really here for, is to show how much people are doing and inspire each other to do more and to be building the conditions for peace in our communities and really in ourselves as well. And I just would love to see the collective impact that we all can do together leading up to September 21st.
Wow. Oh, Jill, this is fabulous. And I just thank you for doing this. And I know Lisa created one thing, so we can probably combine the two at this point. I just want you to know that this is like a wish come true for me, to have this kind of ability to say, put your stuff here, let's show up. URI is in 116 countries. We do a lot of things for the International Day of Peace and things leading up to it. So I hope that we can get the generation on this page of the numbers. And I'm just so excited. And thank you so much for working with us to create this beautiful landing spot for this year. I'm going to turn it next now to Lisa, since I know you talked about this a little bit with Peace Day Philly, and both she and Jennifer know what it takes in the acts of peace leading up to an event. Lisa does amazing programs, a lot of things throughout the week. I would love to have you highlight Peace Day Philly and what you're doing for the International Day of Peace NGO Committee, because we've got a lot of things that we can send to your way, Jill. So thank you. Lisa.
So hi, I'm Lisa Parker. I'm the founder of Peace Day Philly, which is the Philadelphia Region Initiative for the United Nations International Day of Peace. The 100-day countdown is really important for Peace Day action because it reminds organizations, or it lets new organizations know about Peace Day, and it gives them time to create programs for the International Day of Peace. If we wait until August, September, it's often too late for organizations to really get involved. So the 100-day countdown is really a great opportunity to get organizations involved. I founded Peace Day Philly in 2011 with the support of the local United Nations Association. I was totally inspired to learn that there was a global day of peace, and I really wanted to make something happen in my hometown of Philadelphia. I think I really didn't understand how I could make that happen. And as a social worker by training, I was always asking the question, what can we do to create action on the International Day of Peace? And so there were organizations that were interested. They liked the idea of Peace Day, but they really needed to have some guidance in terms of what they could actually do to get meaningfully involved. So when we developed our website, peacedayphilly.org, with the help of a local design college, we created the section, What Can You Do? So these pages have been copied for the International Day of Peace.org website. And Tez, if you could put that up, please. It's under Get Involved. And we encourage you to look here for diverse Peace Day activity ideas. It's internationaldayofpeace.org/get involved. And if you click on that, you'll see there are areas related to children and youth, colleges and universities, nonviolence, humanitarian action, and so forth. And you could click on any of those areas and get another page, which will have many ideas for the International Day of Peace. We've engaged with the police department since our founding. The community relations officers in districts across the city share our ideas for the International Day of Peace, focusing on children and youth. They get those ideas out, and the 100-day countdown is a great opportunity for us to be in touch with them and make sure that they're getting that information out to the different districts across the city so that they can plan over the summer what they're going to do for Peace Day. We also work with the Philadelphia School District, giving them ideas, and we encourage them to put those on their website and to send them out to the schools. We've also worked to involve Philadelphia's mayor. We've had him at our programs this year. He's providing a video support, and we're really excited about that. I think one of the things I've learned as a Peace Day organizer is once somebody says yes and they get excited about the idea of Peace Day, they generally will say yes again. So first we had a written statement of support. Next, we had him come to our program, and now he's doing a video of support for us. So it's important when you're reaching out to the local government that you keep those lines of communication open and encourage them to say yes more and more and more. We always incorporate the Global Minute of Silence at noon into our Peace Day program. We encourage everyone to engage in that practice of the Minute of Silence at noon. We generally have a whole week of programs, including September 21st, somewhere between 10 and 30 programs per year. We do outreach with organizations, encouraging them to get involved and offer a program for the International Day of Peace. And we use the 100-day countdown as an opportunity to create a gathering. And we invite diverse organizations to come and talk to us about what they're interested in doing that's in keeping with their mission, that's both meaningful and manageable. And so we did that this year, and we had about 20 organizations come and share their ideas for Peace Day, which we're really excited about. So the 100-day countdown is really a catalyst for action. It puts us into connecting with organizations, reaching out to the mayor's office, the police department, the school district, and it gets us in line with what we want to do for this year's Peace Day. So thank you very much.
Lisa, you're an inspiration, and you're also modest, because Lisa has been the person who has done the newsletter for the International Day of Peace NGO Committee. She has inspired Peace Day in so many ways in different schools, but you're being able to do the hashtags and your upbeat social media and giving even tweets to the UN as suggestions. I just want to thank you for your dedication and the hours you have poured into this. And I look forward to seeing volunteer hours in the Philadelphia Peace Day Billion Acts include 4 hours, and those of other organizers, because it is so important to have it just counted, because it really matters. Thank you. So we're going to go from the East Coast to the Midwest and hear about the other Peace Day and the way that you merged it into the International Day of Peace from your original idea. Had just a level of collaboration and love and expansion for the International Day of Peace celebration. And I want to thank you from the beginning and how you are, and give us a little bit of the flavor of Chicago and Peace Day.
Thank you, Monica. Thank you so much, everyone who's here. I honor all of you. This collaborative work, we're all doing it in our own spaces and places, but we're all doing it together, and I love being part of it. I'm very lucky to have found the Peace School back in 1978. And it's an organization that's been here in the city since 72. It's an independent, not-for-profit educational organization, but we don't teach science and math. We teach peace breathing and meditation and practices for peace. And so the late founder, his background was really in not only meditation, but traditional martial art. We call him Grandmaster Kim, which he truly was a grandmaster. And he really felt that every single person has a mission to help create peace in this world. I mean, he firmly believed it. He spoke it. He put it out there any which way he could. And in 1978, when I happened into the Peace School, that was the year that he said, let's create a Peace Day. And he wrote to our mayor, got the mayor's proclamation, the mayor behind it. We held our first event that year, and the date he chose was September 7th. So we began with September 7th, 1978. Every year since then, always 1 minute of silence for world peace has been held at noon. That's been part of the event here, and it's just so interesting how that came about within the UN's International Day of Peace from the beginning as well. Like Tez, you say, it was out there in the ethers, and everyone was on board with that because it is the essence. It's from his viewpoint and our viewpoint, it's all about energy. It's all about the energy of peace, and that's how the actions for peace come about, and that's how the relationships are built. But we have to have that energy of peace inside of us, right? We know people, probably all of us know people who say we're for peace, but they're coming at it from a negative viewpoint, whereas we try to come at it from a positive viewpoint. So since 78, we have held events, and over the years, we gathered other organizations to help and participate. It was the 30th anniversary of Peace Day when we founded a committee, the Chicago Build the Peace Committee, bringing in other partner organizations to work more closely on the planning of Peace Day. And that year, we also brought in honorary co-chairs, as well as the honorary chair. Now, the mayor of Chicago every year has issued proclamations for Peace Day. The governor as well, since the second year, we brought in the governor. And then we started writing to cities and states all over the country in the 70s and 80s. And by the mid 80s, we had received Peace Day proclamations from all 50 state governors and over 540 US city mayors. So we just asked for proclamations, asked them to observe a minute of silence for world peace, put that in their proclamations, and asking them to do something for Peace Day. And once the International Day of Peace came along, we said, okay, we'll make this Peace Days. So the 7th through the 21st, or whatever day it happened to be when it was floating. So we've done daily challenges for Peace Day during that 21 day, 14 or 21 days. We did a 21 day for peace. So anyway, but I wanted to say that we brought in all these government officials into it. So not only the mayor and the governor, but the heads of the Illinois Department of Human Rights, the Chicago Commission on Human Relations, the Chicago Public Schools, and many others, including the Consular Corps, who are the international diplomats here in the city of Chicago. And they participate. We've had them on stage now for many years for the Minute of Silence. We get up to 50, 60 consuls. We only have 80 some consuls here in Chicago. So it's unbelievable the support we get from the international community. But I really wanted to, I'm going to share my screen here. I wanted to talk about more about what we're doing with schools and with students. So we are actually at our 45th anniversary this year of Peace Day. which we're very excited about. And I hope now you're seeing some kids and flags and things. Okay, my screen is moving, yay. So this is just some samples from our downtown event that we put on, a free event in Daley Plaza. Kids bring posters. We do a full flag ceremony where each flag is presented and everyone calls back peace in Afghanistan, peace in Albania, every country. Some of the students will dress in traditional clothing, as will adults. And these are some of the flag bearers. We go out to schools before Peace Day and teach flag etiquette, talk about what the flag ceremony represents, and practice the call to peace so that we get all those voices in the plaza calling out for each country. This is the Consul General of France with the student, high school student who carried the flag of France in that particular Peace Day. So often they get to interact with these international diplomats. But student groups, make posters of all kinds that they bring down to the plaza. Some are really phenomenal. This is one of my favorite. If you can see what that hill is made of, it might be hard, but that's made of weapons. And then you've got the kids on top with the heart balloon. These kids dream this stuff up. It's just fantastic. Peace begins with a smile. And we have students in the program itself. It's not all students. We have the government people speaking. We have cultural performances. But this young gal at the top, I think she was a 6th grader who spoke and introduced the CEO of the public schools. The boy at the top, Jaden, he performed his poem, Put the Guns Down. And then this is one of the choruses that sang at a Peace Day one year. But in addition to that program, since 2008, when we formed the committee, we've provided materials to every Chicago public school. And these are simply suggestions on what a school might do on the International Day of Peace. But we also say, please make up your own plan for Peace Day. Do whatever it is you'd like to do in your school or in your classroom. And so, we suggest, it could be artwork, poetry, a pledge, peacemakers in history. What is peace? Peace films, the list goes on and on. We just try to provide ideas for schools to participate. And so the downtown event may or may not fall on September 21st. It's somewhere between September 7th and the 21st. And our idea is on the 21st, let's get schools doing something related to peace, some kind of positive action for peace. And this just shows last year's sample cover to the schools. We just gave a few suggested ideas, but then gave them various resources, the UN International Day of Peace website, the National Peace Academy that has amazing resources, the Peace Alliance, get all these quotes from peacemakers over there, Jane Goodall's Roots and Shoots. There's tons of activities for students on that site. And then Voices for a World Free of Nuclear Weapons. There's videos, there's educational materials. So we provide this to every Chicago public school. And then one of the programs that we promote from the Peace School is this Pause for Peace, Pledge for Peace. Pausing for peace is just taking time to do some world peace breathing, which is so simple. You inhale, think world, and you exhale, think peace. And that peace breathing can be done as a quiet contemplation, but also as moving meditation as you go about your day. So we introduce peace breathing to students, and we introduce a pledge. And then students, may do the peace breathing or may fill out the pledge for peace, to build the peace pledge. You can see this teacher is helping to explain it. They're not just, signing a piece of paper. And some schools, they put them all up on the wall in the hallways, etc. So there's just all kinds of stuff going on in schools. And we offer these other actions that can be done along with that pledge. The pledge, as I mentioned at that last meeting, draws on language from the Manifesto 2000, which was through UNESCO. It was a piece for the International Year of Peace. Am I right, Monica? Or the Decade of Peace?
Yes, it was a decade. It moved into
for
the
the
decade for the culture of peace and nonviolence for the children of the world. That manifesto helped work with that through UNESCO.
Exactly. So we drew on that language. We introduced that into this pledge, asking students to pledge to respect all life, reject violence, share with others, listen to understand, preserve the planet, and rediscover solidarity. So that gets out there, and the pledge also talks about Martin Luther King's beloved community. So we give them all kinds of, even a little bit of language can lead them somewhere to learn about something very deep and something more. And so like this school, they made their own little artwork about some of the pledge components. And then we partnered with the Peace Crane Project. Many of you are familiar with them, making peace cranes and exchanging with a school or a student or someone elsewhere in the world. And we provided the instructions for folding cranes. And this school had the 8th graders help the kindergartners do the cranes. So I just love, how it then expands on the whole idea. Since the Sustainable Development Goals came out, we've helped to promote them through our packages. And back in 2016, many of you probably remember the goal was, or the theme for Peace Day was building blocks for peace. And you might have heard that rap that's the 17 Sustainable Development Goals. They performed it in 2016 on stage at the UN, and we asked for permission to also perform it at Peace Day Chicago, which we got permission for. The rap was written by Flowcabulary. If you don't know them, you should look them up, Flowcabulary. And so we put this out on Peace Day with students helping to promote it at the big event. But this, these kids took styrofoam cups that get discarded. Instead of that, they made a big peace sign in their fence at school. And this is handprints with peace messages in Spanish and English. Kindergartners join hands for peace. And this, can you believe this? This is a high school put this beautiful mosaic together. This is like your languages of peace and peace in different languages. This school did a little peace march, give peace a chance. Pinwheels for peace. Many of you are familiar with that project. This school decided to make pinwheels. This is a whole map with peace in the world, and handprints for peace with a quote from Dr. King. I mean, isn't that beautiful with the little kids? And down below, they are signing their peace pledges. So, so many different activities. And last year we had the privilege of working with Nina Meyerhoff, One Humanity Institute's co-founder, to have a conversation. Students in Chicago with students in Poland, students in Ukraine, and students in Rwanda. And just so you know, this program is going to air in World Unity Week tomorrow, Friday. So you can see this program, hear the students' message. So this is my contact information. Anyone who's interested more in what we're doing here in Chicago, please do reach out. We are all about collaboration and ideas from everywhere. And I would love to be able to put the Billion Acts of Peace into our package to, let students know, hey, you can, make this a billion act of peace. So, yeah, that's what we've been up to.
Wow. Jennifer, I loved, and I've seen new things today, and I want to give you even bigger thanks. The inspiration and the way that you show collaboration. You and Lisa working within the cities and the schools. And the manifesto that you mentioned had the Nobel laureates working with them to help create that. So there's already a connection to Peace Jam. And I just want to thank you. Thank you for the years and for the professional way that you have brought peace into the schools at a time we really need it. And this post-COVID era, we need it more. So to have the collaboration, Tez wanted to say a few more things about what Pathways to Peace is doing for the International Day of Peace. And I just want to plug the fact that the International Day of Peace at the UN is happening on September 14th. There will be a student group and hopefully some peace jammers in the audience and other people. And it's so important that we know that it doesn't just happen at the UN. We brought this out to show you that the UN is just the anchor for what is happening around the world. And I know International Day of Peace in the URI is very, very celebrated. And we are in 116 countries. And whether it's marches or food drives or health things, the actions for the Sustainable Development Goal give so many people choices for being involved this year. And everyone from Unity Week will be doing something towards the International Day of Peace. So I'm going to sign off from me as moderator and turn it back to Tez, both thanking you for the technology, thanking you for what Pathways has helped inspire all of us, because it was Avon's work with the World Peace Prayer Society that got Deborah involved, that got us doing it with the UN. And it just has been a joy working with each of you. And we really, really want to push the billion acts of peace, because I'm sure you must have thought of this, Jill, how many acts are unrecorded. So the fact that you have billion out there as a number, it's not an unrealistic number. It is probably happened 2 or 3 times over since that program started, and we just need to show up. So Tez, it's yours. Oh, you're muted.
Of course, at least once in every recording, so we're muted. So doesn't it just make your heart sing to see these examples that we've been given? It's just incredible. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And so I would just add that Pathways to Peace is a UN Peace Messenger organization. And so we do have a lot of activities that are leading up to and including Peace Day this year and every year, really. And so I just had mentioned to Jennifer before we came on to this event that I think we are all collapsing into wholeness. And that's just so beautiful. We're recognizing that we are all one. And therefore, you know, we're seeing all of us do this incredible work. And it's my endeavor to try to bring as much of what we do at Pathways to Peace into the work of our partner organizations. So we have some similar things, but my mind is always thinking about how can we combine these to make them to have just greater impact overall. So we have what we started last year. This is the 2nd annual Sign the World Peace Treaty campaign. And it really is similar in that you can go online and you just have to state 1 to 3 key acts for the International Day of Peace. And then you get your own personalized certificate that you have signed the World Peace Treaty. And then we showcase those activities afterwards. So we'll be doing that again this year. As most of you know, yes, we have 100 days of peace. We have 99 days of peace that World Unity Week is rolling into. And today is about abundance. So talk about abundance. That's the theme for our World Unity Week Day. But we will also be looking at and quite active in Peace Month and Peace Week. Lots and lots of activities, Pathways to Peace will be engaged with around the UN and with our other civil society partners. So please watch for that. We have our Wisdom Keepers project. We have 13 new videos of our elders talking about their vision for peace that we will be airing. Again, we'll now have 26 Wisdom Keeper videos in our repository. On September 13th, in conjunction with the anniversary of the Culture of Peace Declaration and Program of Action, we will be celebrating our Exceptional Women of Peace ceremony. We give 2 awards each year, one for an exceptional woman of peace, another for an exceptional young woman of peace. And Ambassador Chowdhury is our keynote speaker again this year, so we're excited about that on September 13th. Peace Education Day is occurring on September 20th. And we, of course, are very engaged with our youth and bringing our youth to the UN. Monica's a part of that whole process. So we're delighted that our youth will be engaged in programming again at the United Nations this year around the International Day of Peace and Observance. So much more. So please know that you can contact me at any time if you don't get our mailings. It's Tez, T-E-Z, at pathwaystopeace.org, all lowercase letters. And you can check out our website, pathwaystopeace.org. And so I want everybody to know, given Monica's handed it over to me for closing, that you are a pathway to peace. So whatever your background, wherever you came from, whatever you do, whoever you are a pathway to peace. And let's make Peace Day every day. Thank you.
And let's join together with may peace
Peace
prevail
prevail
on
earth.
earth. Those flags, the love and prayers from the May Peace Prevail on Earth collaboration has been an important part of the International Day of Peace. And I just thank all of you for being here. Jill needed to leave to be at another meeting. And just my greatest admiration for the time you put in. Thank you all.